So as we close our eyes and breathe in, we visualize a pure white light passing down through our heads, through the head chakra, down through our bodies, cleansing, purifying, and protecting us and the group. And we come together as one organism in service to the plan. Breathing in and out. Feeling the connection to all of our co-workers, both here and in the larger group. Feeling the love and connection. As we recite the great invocation together. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known. Let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, for the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, and peace be upon you all. Okay, so we thought we'd have this session to give people a chance to ask anything that may wish to do so. We have got some questions that have been sent in, but shall we start off by asking anybody to kick off the session by asking absolutely anything that you wish to ask about. And if we can answer, we will. If we can't, we'll just say we can't, or maybe somebody else can. So is anybody brave enough to start us off? Or I can ask some of the questions from other people if you feel more comfortable, and then you can join in later. How do you feel about that?
Sounds good.
The second one. You want me to start off?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've written down some questions that have been asked over the years, and then I've got another set of questions from people who've sent them in. So let's start off with some very general questions. They might sound very simple, but they might spark off something else in any of you or in myself that we can actually go off at a tangent and find other useful insights. But the first one is a very simple one, really, is how did the 12s get started? And I have been asked that a lot of times. How did the 12s get started? And I'm going to try and answer it without boring you to death. The question actually depends on what you mean by when did the 12 start. Because one could say the 12 started back in Krishnamurti's time and beyond, and then went through the process of Krishnamurti's Order of the Star into the Lucis Trust and the Alice Bailey work, and off into the Warwick work. And all of that continued, apart from the Order of the Star, of course, and then it developed into the 12s that we know today. Or you could look at it back to the early 80s when we actually started the 12s group. But it's difficult to take it in isolation, in my opinion. I think would you like to know a little bit more about the history behind the Order of the Star and how that happened and how the dissolution happened? Or are you all up to date on that? You don't really want to hear that again?
It would be nice to hear it again.
I will keep it short. There, a long time ago, sounds like a movie, doesn't it? A long time ago, Star Wars. Krishnamurti was chosen not by Leadbeater and Besant, but by the inner hierarchy to be the vehicle for, in those days, what we used to call the Christ, but which we can call the Coming One or the World Teacher or whatever phrase we feel comfortable with. And back in those days, it was thought, in fact, it was decided in 1925 that the Krishnamurti would be the physical vehicle for the World Teacher to return. And then you had the inevitable problems with people's astral bodies and people's devotional natures, and lots of things prevented that continuing. And the World Teacher decided that in the 1925 100-year convocation that she, please don't worry about that, the gender, it's not a gender, there's no gender in this word. He decided he would come back himself, not through a vehicle. And that was decided in 1925, and then that disturbed the whole Order of the Star shooting match, because then obviously that Krishnamurti in 1929, once he'd been through many healing crises and all that stuff that's outlined in the books, he decided to disband the Order of the Star in 1929. Was actually what happened was the Christ decided he was not going to return through Krishnamurti, and that impact on Krishnamurti's bodies was substantial. Go through all sorts of physical traumas and psychological traumas and emotional traumas and all sorts of other things. And then he disbanded the order. And it carried on from there. And as you know, the World Teacher announced through the Alice Bailey's amanuensis, Alice Bailey, DK's amanuensis, Alice Bailey, to announce that he was going to return himself. And that's what happened. Then Alice Bailey started the Arcane School and the Lucis Trust, and what in those days was called Men of Goodwill is now called Goodwill, World Goodwill Work. And the work of triangles, and that then proceeded into the work of 12s. And that's sort of how it all strung together, going right back to Krishnamurti's time. DK actually supported the Order of the Star and has said so in unpublished writings, which you might have known that I've published. Did you all know where that is? You know where to find it? On AliceBaileyArchives.com. It's got all of the letters of occult meditation the original letters typed up by Alice Bailey, and in a roundabout way, they found their way to me, and I've got them here in my room, in my office, and I published them all. And in there is an unpublished letter from G.K. where he talks about the Order of the Star, which I advise you to have a look at. Yeah, and he also talks about the burning ground as well in another unpublished letter. So not all the letters. And lots of people think the first book of Alice Bailey was Initiation Human and Solar. It wasn't. It was Letters of Occult Meditation. That was the first book. So I don't know how that's crept in, but the mistake there. But I know it's the first book because I've got the letters. So Initiation Human and Solar came afterwards. After that, and in those letters also came it was the stanzas of Lausanne, which are now printed in 2000 Cosmic Fire, and they were in the original letters to Alice in 1920. So they started that work, and the original idea was that Alice would use the esoteric school of the Theosophical Society to be the arcane school. That was the original intention. And that didn't happen because she encountered all sorts of problems within the Theosophical Society. And in fact, she was sacked from her job eventually. But without going off onto tangent on the history, 12s came through that basis. So Robert Adams, who passed away a long time ago, and I started the group after a great surprise to me. I was meditating. And I started to get this information through about a group wanting to be formed to do this advanced meditation work. And I had no idea at all about it at that stage. And it was revealed that we were going to do this 12 thing. And I think that was in 1982 we first heard about the 12's work. And Robert helped me. And then another dedicated disciple turned up. It's Dr. Peter Maslin. Some of you might. I know, Tilly, you know Peter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Several of you done, and he's passed away as well. But he was another staunch Alice Bailey student, and the three of us really took it forward for many years in the 80s and early 90s. So 12s came from that basis, and I think it's not worth going into why 12s because I think we all know why 12s because I've written about it in the book, and it's fairly easily accessible. Zodiac, New Jerusalem, and all that stuff. But that's how 12s actually came about. And that's a long time now, because that's 1981, 82. How many years is that? That's 40 years.
40.
Yeah, wow. 40 years. There you go. I'm still here doing it. So that was one. Any questions come off of that? Anything that's not clear or you like something else on Vita? Is that Vita? Did you want to say?
Yeah. Can you say maybe something about the Order of the Star before Krishnamurti? Because it's a department within the hierarchy, and a lot of groups are having information on the Order of the Star and are linked to it in one way or the other. So it's a much wider approach, which I'm asking you to address.
Right. Well, the Order of the Star actually came from the Brotherhood of the Star, which is the term used to describe the inner reflection of the new group of world servers. So the Brotherhood of the Star is made up of masters and initiates of different ashrams, different rays, and they've come together to build the Antikarana for the world teacher and to externalize the ashrams upon the earth plane. And so the Brotherhood of the Star was there long before the Order of the Star. And in fact, the Order of the Star was first called the Order of the Star in the East. And it only changed its name. I think it was 1926 or something like that. It changed its name. Actually, it was always called the Order of the Star in the East when Krishnamurti was found on the beach when he was 13. And he first wrote the book At the Feet of the Master. And I don't think there was any physical earthly organization before then that used that term that I know of. Peter. Only I think there was a Masonic lodge called the Order of the Star Eastern or something like that, but that wasn't connected at all to the Order of the Star.
Still there. It's still there.
Still there. The Masonic one.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know of any connections between the two, but there is that. So a reflection of the Brotherhood of the Star. Brotherhood of the Star is a generic term for all of those masters. As on the Earth plane, we have the new group of world servers, which is a mixture of ray types, mixture of initiates and aspirants, and people of different backgrounds, different karmic experience. And so the new group of world servers is made up of all these different people from all these different groups and all these different rays, and it's exactly the same in Brotherhood of the Star. And then, as I say, Krishnamurti was decided to be the vehicle. And then the world teacher withdrew from that, probably seeing the World War coming, etc. I would have thought. Not that I'm privy to that information. So that was what happened, and we all know the history of that. And Krishnamurti went off after 1929 to do his own teaching thing. And then sort of the same sort of time, because Alice started out in 1919, 1920, yeah, and then published published Treatise on Cosmic Fire in 1925, the year of the convocation, the 100-year convocation, 1925, and it went on from there. And all we're doing is expanding the triangle work. We're not trying to replace it in any way. It's just it's a more focused form of the triangle work of Lucis, etc. Does that answer it, Bisha?
Not completely, because I think it's important to know that the Brotherhood of the Star is like a department, and you have the Brotherhood of Luxor, you have the Melchizedek order, so it goes back a long time. And the fact that we have all come together here also indicates that we have a long lineage going back, which has brought us together at this precise stage in humanity's history to do a particular task, because it's a long lineage. It was important for me to put that to the fore, beyond the earthly connotations.
Yes, well, the Brotherhood of Luxor, of course, with Serapis, etc., was in the 1800s of Blavatsky, and just before Blavatsky started the TS. So, but they're still around today, of course. But the Brotherhood of the Star, my understanding of the Brotherhood of the Star is that the initiates and masters from the Brotherhood of Luxor and the other branches of the hierarchy have come together not to in any way form a new ashram as such, but to form a cooperative endeavor for the externalization. So each of those people in that organization are also belong to the other brotherhoods that are there. Exactly the same as Alice Bailey was used by DK. I mean, she was not in his ashram. She was not in his ashram. She was not a member of DK's ashram at all. She was a member of KH's ashram. And so she was loaned to DK, as you all know. So it's the same sort of thing, is that for certain work, there are a lot of cross-pollination. Yeah.
Stephen, you mentioned just now ashram. So there is a question I have. Which ashram the 12s belong? That's, I think, interesting for everybody, because I went through the books and maybe secondary ashram we are speaking all the time.
Because our scheme is second ray, and therefore everything else is subsidiary to that. So even when we talk about Moira and the first ray ashram, it is actually the first ray ashram of the second ray ashram. Right?
Right.
Because the whole hierarchy is second ray. The whole thing is the world teacher is second ray, Kuthumi is second ray, and the other rays are subsidiary to the second ray. So one could say everything is second ray from one point of view in our scheme.
So from your point of view, we can say the Brotherhood of the Star is the second ray.
Undoubtedly. Yeah. So each under that second ray umbrella, you've got all the other rays, which is why the world teaches on the second rays, of course. So, yeah, that's my understanding.
Sanat Kumara and onwards.
Sorry?
I was saying Sanat Kumara and onwards, so it's that whole lineage and that whole line.
Sanat Kumara, yeah, included. And the one about whom naught may be said. But we actually say a lot about him, but we're not supposed to. Little English job. Okay, so I think that the whole, as Vitas pointed out, from Sanat Kumara down, it's second ray actually. So even when we talk about the first ray as Moira, we're actually talking about the subsidiary ray of the second ray. So the Brotherhood of the Star is a second ray ashram, a cooperative ashram, which probably won't be around forever. It's there to undertake the externalization process.
I have another question.
Yes, please.
For you. How do you understand the upstart and this inspiration of the 12s as a new occult impulse or a new development within modern occultism? Do you get my idea here? As late 20th century new wave of performing group meditation and stuff. Yeah. How has your kind of inner deepening of that understanding as a new occult impulse grown, and where are you today with it?
Well, I think it's all to do with, as you probably know, I keep banging on about, it's 2025. Which is the imperative that's coming. I mean, here we are at let's go back 100 years. Here we're at 1925. The Treatise on Cosmic Fire is published. The Arcane School is starting off. That's that impulse. And the TS is getting left behind at that stage. Sorry, Murray. Don't be offended. I'm still a member of the TS. But
I'm strong.
And energetically, the power shifts, and no group stays with in my opinion, with the energy of the ashram forever. I mean, we won't, I think it goes in waves. I think that, we are being asked to do something now, which is incredibly different and special than a lot of other people. And so we're doing it. But the time will come when a new group will come or a new inspiration will come, and we'll be old hat ourselves. But that's not today. Today, we are at the spearhead of it. When you read DK, as you've all done, and you read about group work, we're actually trying to do something with it, and there has been a lot of work done, but not piercing, cutting edge group formation work. The triangles is, in my opinion, triangles have saved the world. I mean, without triangles, I think the world would be finished, basically. I think the triangles let in the hierarchical energy for decades and decades, and I think, it deserves our deepest respect. And it still does. It still works away. Thousands of people still undertake the triangle, including myself, including all of you. But what we're at now is the next stage. We have to take it that one stage further. 2025 is 4 years away. This is not us sitting here 50 years ago thinking, well, it's DK talked about it in the books, but it's another 50 years to go, so we don't really have to work very hard because, there'll be a World Federation of Nations DK talked about, didn't he? He said, DK said World Federation of Nations by 2025. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't see it. So I think that a lot of what's happened is that a lot of the hopes of the hierarchy then, and the intention, hope's probably not the right word, the intentions of hierarchy there, that humanity would respond in a really appropriate way and all this and all that, just hasn't materialized. It just hasn't. I mean, it's just not there. There's no World Federation of Nations, There isn't. There's still wars, there's still stuff going on, there's, the UN is still weak as hell and just controlled by a group of 5 nations. I mean, we're in trouble, and I think the hierarchy are trying, sort of saying, come on, we've got to do something, let's advance the occult work of triangles. Let's focus it more, because we need to make a decision in 2025 about the date and time of the reappearance of the world teacher. And we're 4 years away, and still a lot of people in our genre just think what's the problem? You probably know, I have a couple of arguments on BBR sometimes with some people, they're thinking, Stephen, all peace and love in the world, peace and love in the world. We're all going around with masks on. There's devastation everywhere. There's problems in Iraq. There's problems in Israel. I mean, I think it's not a peaceful world at the moment. I think we need to work hard to ground and get the hierarchical energies into this world, into the grid that the Triangle Network have built, and become like a tap for the hierarchy, so they can pour forward the energies. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it? I don't see hundreds of groups like ours around saying, come on, let's go and do this, So we can only do our best. And I believe actually that if humanity had responded in the appropriate way over the last few decades, that we wouldn't be quite so experimental, in the sense that I think we're being asked to do things which are almost beyond our ability in a way, but we're being pushed to do it, to do it, even if it's not perfect, still go and do it, because, it's, the time is here.
I have a question.
Sure.
Stephen, when we are talking about the 12ers group, yes?
Yeah.
As I can remember, in the appearance of Christ, DK is talking about three possibilities how he's coming back. And the third one is through a group. So, let's say, it's called the group initiation. We are not talking nothing about group initiation. Is this group that we are now in, is this also a group of group initiation, or we are just doing our work through triangles and 12s? That's a question.
Yes.
What do you think about group initiation and our group?
I think we have thought about this actually, but we've not discussed it online. My personal view is that group initiation is possible, but I think that will be secondary to other work that we're doing with 12s and 2025. So, for instance, some groups might come into being to develop the co-workers within the group so that the group can undertake initiation, as written in the DK books. But I don't think that's the primary purpose of our group. But it's not impossible that at some stage in the future that there might be something like a group initiation. Mm-hmm. But I do see in the group over the years, individual co-workers, when they work in group, the 12s group, they do accelerate their own development as well. But their focus is not on their own development, it's on the group development. And it becomes as a secondary thing almost, the group initiation, I think. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Agree.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I'd agree. Yeah.
Any other questions on that? Or shall I rush through the other question? Shall I move on?
Hello. Just ask about the Eastern Star again.
Yeah.
I live in quite a historical part of Aberdeen, and it's by coincidence. I just live in a lane at the back, and it used to be the old Eastern Star Lodge. I think its heyday was in the 1920s, but it's converted into an ordinary home now. But I know it used to be the Eastern Star, and in the same street was the Astronomer Royal, David Gill, just in the same street. So that's quite a lot of different churches around my area. But that there's no lodges in Aberdeen now in the Theosophical Society, but
right.
it's quite noteworthy that I live in this area and I get drawn to this group.
Yes. I think that the order of the Eastern Star was actually not connected to the Order of the Star in any way, actually. But still, it's an extremely interesting point.
They are connected with Freemasonry, and it is like a mixed group, men and women together, because in Scotland and England, mostly men are Masons, yes. And also in the United States. So they made something, a mixture of men and women, and that's all I know at the moment.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Theosophical Society.
No, it hasn't, no. Very similar names to the Order of the Star in the East, and that was all there was to it, really. Okay. So we've got a couple of other questions been asked here. Let's have a look. Well, we've done this one here says, what is the link with Krishnamurti? I think we've answered that one. I'll cross them off. How did you meet the initiate? Somebody asked. Well, I'll wrap that up into a couple of parts, actually, because some people ask me, some friends of mine have asked me, said, well, Stephen, the work you're doing is great. And these are people within our genre, by the way. Oh, your work's great, but, how do you know you have any contact with anybody from the ashram and all this stuff? And I always say to them, they're quite well-known people, I won't say who they are, and I say to them, it actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. People can believe that DK gave Alice Bailey dictation, or they don't. To me, it's quite irrelevant whether people believe that I was in contact with the initiate or not, because it's really strictly down to, is the 12's work valid from wherever it comes from? Is the 12's work valid? Is the triangle's work valid? Of DK. Is the esoteric astrology valid that DK taught? That's it. The fact whether it came from DK or Alice became inspired from another level and then she in some way enshrouded it as this person called DK and is not actually that important, as I always tell people. However, I did meet him in London. What happened was, I'll tell you the story very, very quickly. I had a phone call from Robert Adams one day. Robert one day, and he said, this Chinaman's turned up at the door of my house. I thought, that's very strange. This Chinaman turned up at the door. I sort of thought, oh no, surely not. And Robert lived in London, and I lived quite a way away. So I said, look, hang on there. Keep him occupied. I'm coming up. So I jumped on a train. I went up to London, and I met this gentleman. And the first thing I said to him was, how did you find Robert's house? And he said, I followed the star, he said. I distinctly remember him saying it. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I saw it. It sounds fantastic, I know. But he said, I saw it in the sky, and I didn't know the location of the Order of the Order of the Star in Robert's house, and so I followed it, and it stayed above Robert's house, and I knocked on the door. That was what he said. Take it or leave it. That's what he said. And we sat down and we chatted for an hour or so, and he said, "Oh, I've got to go," and he went, and that was it. Now you might say to me, "What did you talk about?" I haven't got a clue. I can't remember any of it. Yeah, he's obviously put some sort of a blind over it all. The only bit I remember is the first bit. I remember what he looked like, and that was it. He was the Chinaman. That was who he was.
No, you can't come over here.
Same with Robert. He couldn't remember anything.
Sorry?
What was it the same with Robert? He couldn't remember anything either.
No, not. And funny enough, his mum and dad were there, and they we were in a daze, you know. and this gentleman left. He had a short little beard and, you know, typical Chinese style. And he left, and we all sort of looking at each other. Basically, I think he has some sort of a blind. But I have noticed that when they work with someone for a specific purpose, they always meet them. Have you noticed that? You know, happened to all of them, didn't it? Even if it's for a short while, you know, or you met in Hyde Park and walked into the room, you know, but she didn't actually tell you all of the stuff that he said, did she? He just said he came and said, "Will you work with me?" And she said no. But that was a long time ago in the 80s, and that's
yes.
all
You thought that it was KH.
Sorry?
You thought that it was Kuthumi.
Yeah, in the very early, I tell you, that's a very good point to bring up. In the early days, we thought that it was Kuthumi talking, giving the teachings. That's absolutely true, because we said, "Where do you come from?" KH was the answer, you know. So, like a lot of people in our genre, we extrapolated an event into something else. And I think many people have done this. I think many people, and say it wouldn't be fair to mention names, people have written books and people have made claims about certain things. And not bad people. They've simply connected the energy of the ashram, as I had done, and extrapolated it. And so we thought it was KH himself.
And then Veda. It was also Veda.
Yeah, he used the word Veda. Still uses that sometimes. Veda just means knowledge, of course. Yeah, but we thought it would convince all of us. The whole group were convinced it was KH. And the energies we connected when we were meditating with the ashram of the second ray, and so we extrapolated that into something else. And I think many people have done it. Many famous authors. And I can't mention a name because that would be rather naughty of me. But many of them are well known and have written several books. You know, maybe 10 books, 20 books, and they say this is the person. But actually, I don't think it is. I think it's someone from the ashram of that person. But to think that KH or any master goes around the world chit-chatting to different people all over the place, you know, and giving information is just an absurdity. Because they're far too busy. A master is an energy center. It's not a human being like we think of it. The only time that we can connect with them in a human sense is when they express themselves through Maya Varupa, you know, the body of illusion, so to speak. When they actually come back into a body and actually do meet, like the initiate met me in London, you know. But that's like a 1% fragment of this being, you know, and to therefore take that 1% and to extrapolate it into being, or the Christ is talking to me, or the Master Hilarion is talking to me, or something else. It's just an absurdity that I have learnt from the early days to temper that view and to be less foolish about it and to understand it. And I think now, after all these years, particularly the last 20 years, I've really understood that fact. And so when I read about it, I just smile, because I think that it doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're trying to cheat people. It doesn't mean that they're in total illusion, because a lot of what they say might be correct. but they extrapolate it.
Yep.
So that's my view, and I did the same.
That's a good lesson learned.
Yeah, mea culpa. Yeah. So anything else?
Now you believe that the work that the 12s do is just moving forward and creating good, and it doesn't really matter who it's coming from.
No, well, not quite that, Jim. But what I'm saying is some people. I always say to some people, if anybody was any doubt about the connection of it being the initiate or whoever they might think it might be, I would say, is the work valid? That if Einstein's theory of relativity was written and we never knew it was Einstein, does it mean it's rubbish? So my view is, if people have an understanding that that's what's happened is what I claim has happened, then that's fine. If they don't, then I have no problem with that too. I'm saying don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just look at the work that we're doing, the 12s. Look at the history of the Order of the Star and Alice Bailey and all that stuff, and look at what Moira said about 12s in his book Agni Yoga, and look at all of that and say to yourselves, if Moira talked about groups of 12, DK set up all the triangles and hinted at 12s and endorsed the Order of the Star, is what we're doing now valid? I would say to you, whether you think the initiate is or is not, is irrelevant.
And I think the experience of the energy invoked, I think that is its own validation.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does it do anything? Do you gain anything? Do you think there's anything to be gained? Does it fall in line with DK's work? I think it does. There's nothing in 12s which contradicts DK.
Stephen, are you? Dana says that she's lost her connection. Are you able to let her back in?
I'm so sorry. I see her there. Yes.
Dana, you know.
I really do need to set this to auto. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, look, they're coming in.
She's probably missed all the best bits now.
May I add one thing?
Yeah.
It's just that the group initiation was mentioned.
Yes.
As I look at it, just in line with you, I'd say this type of work to me gives a deep meaning as a group endeavor and a group progress through group service.
Yes.
And it might result in some kind of divine affirmation of this work. But what is to be done is to carry out group service in occult ways.
Yes.
So simple.
That's exactly it.
And move away from the focus of eventual initiation processes or some, just seeing that as a result of any kind of good work. So
that's exactly right. You better put than I put it. This secondary to the work that we do. People again sometimes PM me about stuff and ask me about what my opinion is about reincarnation or this. And I'm always polite, but I'm not really that interested in it, because my view is I want to look. My whole life really is about looking at this group and how to serve the master and the hierarchy as best I can. And I realize that's not going to be good enough, but I'll do my best. And that's all we can do. And whether I happened on the way to gain some sort of karmic rebalance, or even if there was a group initiation at some stage, great. But that's not my purpose. So exactly right there, Torben. We're running out of time, would you believe? And I've got a whole list of questions. But it's great, isn't it? I hope you all enjoy yourself anyway, and you're relaxed and everything, and you think it's worthwhile.
That's good. No, thank you.
So somebody here says, what is the role of supporters in the Burning Ground 12? Well, I'll say a few words about this. Supporters are within the ring pass knot of the 12 effort. And so you'll have 12 people, and then you might have 3 or 4 supporters, but we'd be within the periphery of the circle of the Vipassana, and their role is to do just that, is to support with energy, and be prepared when their day will come, when they will be stepping into a 12. So that's basically what the supporters role is. It's there for a learning experience, a supportive experience, an energy experience within the Vipassana of the 12 formation. So I hope that answers that one. She goes on to say, would it be possible to include protection for supporters and not just the 12? Well, yeah, I've just addressed that. It's absolutely essential for everybody to understand that the supporters are within the Vipassana of every 12 formations. And if there are 3 12 formations forming a super triangle, which we've not started yet, but we will do, there'll be a Vipassana around the 3 12s, the 36 people, etc. Until we get to the magic 144. Yeah, which is the day when we really turn on the energy have what we could call a super 12, I guess. 104 disciples, and we're not that far now. I understand that our French brothers are setting up a third 12 soon, so that will be 120 people working. We're very close to the 144. The other thing to mention, I think, is worth mentioning is that I often talk about to capacity, and that's an important point to make. Even when we get to 144, 12 by 12, we are only going to be as powerful, as pure, and as service-orientated, and as loving and compassionate as we are able to be as a group. Often we'll have a 12, and we might have, talking about the old days more than these days. I think that's a better way to look at it. Going back now, we used to have 7 or 8 or 9 really good disciples, really strong, and then we'd have some weaker people there. Rita will remember all this. It happens that we're only as strong as our weakest link in many ways, and so our aim is not just to have 144 to get to the magic figure, which is great in itself, but it's to have 144 trained, experienced, focused disciples. The point. So we've still got quite a way to go to do that. I think we'll hit 144 within 6 months, 9 months. But then we've got to get the focus. We've got to get the OMS right. We've got so much work to do until we become a real energy engine. That's what we want to be, an energy engine. Yeah. Get the vortex going, get the energies going. Open our hearts, open our souls, let the energy flow through, and then miracles may happen. From an occult point of view, there are other groups doing it. There's the Heschel group. There's the planetary. What's it called? I've forgotten what the group's called. Planetary something. Anyway, they're doing groups of 7. Do you remember, Vita, what they're called? No. Anyway, the planetary system. The planetary system. You heard of them? They're doing groups of 7. Anyway, there's other groups trying to do something, but there's not many of us. When you look at our genre, there's not many in our genre, but when you look at within our genre, there's very few doing this sort of work. So we are fortunate to be called, in my opinion. So what else have we got here then? Are you linked with Lucis Trust? Somebody's asked. Well, not formally, no. Although many of our members are members of Lucis Trust. We've got lots of Arcane School members. We've got Institute of Planetary Synthesis members. We've got Agni Yoga members. We've got all sorts of people. TS members, of course. So we're a mixed bunch from different places, and that's a great thing to be, in my opinion. And we never ask anybody to give up any other work. We are not an exclusive club. We are saying, come and join us and work with us, but we're not asking you to give up your normal work. And we have people doing all sorts of things.
University of Seven Rays. We've got all these people, and we respect and love and support all of that work. It's not an exclusive gig, this one. So yes, we do have Lucis people, and we have some people who don't who prefer to be a little bit quiet because they're worried about maybe any reaction from Lucis or any other organisations that might not quite understand what we're trying to do. And I will say, Alice Bailey had exactly the same thing in the 1920s.
Right.
Exactly the same. She was saying exactly the same. Oh, well, TS are not accepting this, So I think we're going to get people one day come up to us in 10, 20 years' time and say, oh, that 12's. But I hope that won't happen, by the way. But I think you get the drift. Is that people become a little bit entrenched in their little ways of doing things, and I hope we never will. So that is the history of our genre, unfortunately.
1 minute left.
Then we've got another one asking, what happens after 2025? I'm not sure if that's a question about what happens to the 12s or what happens to the world. I'm not sure about that one. But to answer both of them, the first thing is we don't know what's going to happen after 2025. Hopefully we will see the externalization rolling out between 2025 and 2035, I would guess, educated guess. As for our group, I would consider we will carry on at least until 2035, distributing the energies, and then other advanced groups will be coming along. Whether we'll have an active valid role after that, I don't know. We might well do, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that the 12's formative standard of working will become standardized. It won't be just done for our group, there'll be many groups doing 12's work. They won't even know about us probably. They may not even know the history, but it doesn't really matter. And I think that it will become the standard, standard way to do group work, as it was in Atlantis. But that's a different story. What else have we got here? What are the energies behind the Burning Ground 12? Somebody's asked. I think we probably realise that's the first ray subray of the second ray, burning the thought forms, preparing the way. And it's the most vital work we can do at the moment. We do we do know that 2 other types of 12s will be coming later, involved with healing and thought form building. So it'll be 3 types of 12 on the 3 rays. But right now, we've been asked to push forward the first ray 12. The plan was the second ray 12 would come first. But that's been changed because the times are dire. They really are.
Yeah, they are.
Listen to David Attenborough about the climate change. I don't need to go through. It's so obvious. I don't know what that was. It wasn't me. We're coming up for the hour. Let's forget. There's a couple of other questions we can ask next time. Is there anything else that anybody wants to raise? Silence. No. Anybody got any queries on anything or any worries or concerns? Please feel free to bring up anything here. You're amongst friends. While I drink my green tea. Was it useful?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much.
Just from an energy sense as well. It's nice to talk to you all without, having, an hour's meditation. It's nice, to share. Do you think we should do it again?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
How often do you think?
Yeah, and I would say, sorry guys, I'm having to multitask because I have to leave here pretty soon. But okay. We're talking about, the future of the 12s after 2025. I can't see the world instantaneously becoming totally and completely enlightened. I think the work of the 12s is going to have to continue for a long time into the future. I don't think any of it should be abandoned at any point.
Right. No, I think 12s will go on for millennia. I think that what I was saying was that other people bring their own 12s in, just like we're evolving now. We're having Jean Bernard, we're having Tilly. They have a lot of independence in their own groups, but doing 12s, and that is superb. That's exactly how the initiate described it. It's not about us building an organization to do 12s in a sense. It's about us building an organization to distribute the thought form of 12s, to advise and consult in cooperative service. So for me, somebody like Tilly and Jean Bernard or anybody else coming along, Jane and the Cubans and the Mexicans and all this, I think that is fantastic. I'm absolutely for it. I think, do your things, do your independent 12s, no problem at all. That's exactly what is required. What we don't want is another stage theosophical type organization who wants to build its own power base, its own memberships, and all this. We're not interested in that anymore. That's the Piscean way. So, unity.
Yes, I agree.
Vita.
Just linking up to Rosalia, they have 60 groups of 12, but they meet in a circle, and they got the same information in the 80s to start making 12s. And then Rosalia thought that she could enhance the work by doing it information and got 3 of the groups, but they are actually 60 12 groups.
60 12?
Yeah.
How many is that in total?
But not information. Only 3 of them are information like we do.
Right. You mean, explain that a little bit more. I don't know what you mean, actually.
In the 80s, there was somebody who got the same information that they needed to start creating groups of 12.
Right.
They started creating 12. They have 60 groups of 12. And then Rosalia, through the website, I think Mindy's posting, saw that we were doing 12s in group formation. And
right.
That is how she came and got another 3 12s to join us out of that group of 60.
Right. But I bet you, if you saw the circle of 12, you would see the triangles, even if they didn't know. I think even if 12's developed where some people are coming in a circle of 12 rather than a formation of 4 triangles, I bet you there are 4 triangles on the occult plane. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Over the circle, but if you consider that her entry into a formation in that group is basically seeding the concept within a big group like that.
Oh yes, no, absolutely wonderful, and I welcome everybody, and I don't want anybody to feel in any way that we are going to be in any way, how can we put it, a controlling influence on them. We simply say what our experience is. They can ask advice. We can support them. We can say, well, if we would do it this way or that way, but please, and they'll develop their own models. And if 12s can expand to thousands of 12s all over the globe, which will happen one day, then then our work's been good, hasn't it? The hierarchy works through any channel which opens to it. It is a nonsense to say that hierarchy pick groups and say, I'm going to work through that group. What happens is that they take the worldview, and when groups and individuals become responsive, they are utilized. And that's what happens. So that's what all we're trying to do, is to open to become utilized. That's my view. Okay, folks, Dana needs to go. Shall we do one short meditation goodbye?
Yes, that'd be great. Yes.
Just for a minute, and it won't be a long one. Would somebody else like to lead that? Or should I get on with it? Okay, but let's think for next time. Let's see if anybody else wants to take the lead. So, closing our eyes. We come together to thank the great ones
the angels of light, the Davidic beings, for being here today, supporting us with unconditional love. And as a group, we feel the energy between us. And with love and compassion, each and every one of us. Peace be with you.
Also with you.
See you again.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, everybody. Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Tilly. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.